Hey guys, I wanted to go over a couple of the different ways that you can make money in beekeeping. So it's not just the honey and the wax products. Of course, one of the main thing that you think of when you think of beekeeping is honey. Um, it is the most frequently asked about thing, I would say, but it is not the most lucrative part. Um, Typically in Michigan right now, you can get I'd say about $1 to $1.50 per ounce for honey pretty easily, and with wax probably about the same price, if not about $2 an ounce. Um, with the honey, you can make different products, like infused honeys. I know people have used various peppers, citrus fruits, garlic to make kind of medicinal honeys that you can mix into teas and coffees and things, and it is pretty good. You can also make suckers, homemade cough drops, and stir sticks for your coffee and things. So, with the wax, the biggest one is going to be candles. The big thing that everybody thinks of is candles. You can make dipped candles or buy molds. The molds are a little pricey, but in return, it's worth it. So, you can also do lip balms, hand lotions, body waxes, body butters, um, hair wax. You can make different things. You can even do furniture polish, sports wax for like fishing gear, camping equipment, waterproofing. You can do all kinds of things with the wax. So and a lot of arts and crafts things. And I actually make crayons for the little ones around Christmas. So that way, and the molds that I use are quite a bit thicker than normal crayon molds, and that way we know what chemicals are in there, what chemicals are not in there. It's all natural. It's from my hives, so it's much safer. Um, Another way you can do it is to sell equipment on the retail side. If you have the money to invest into a little shop or a little online store, you can sell equipment to other hobbyists. You can sell to sideliner people, guys. If you know how to work on their equipment, their machines, you can offer that as a service. um, Honey harvesting. You can do, if you have a honey spinner, you can rent it out, or you can have people pay you, drop off their honey, their frames. They can pay you. You'll do it for them, and you can do it that way. So rental services are one. Pollination contracts are a big one. A lot of commercial guys will transport between Michigan, where the cherries, the pumpkins, and the apples are a big deal. Um, Along with the walnuts are pretty decent. And then going down into the Georgia, Florida area for oranges and peaches, over into California for the almonds, and then kind of back up in that kind of oval shape um, pattern. Um, and each honey, some beekeepers can charge more amounts for certain honeys. No one honey is ever going to be 100% anything, because the bees will have various nectar and pollen resources throughout their foraging area. But if you are in an area where you can say primarily they are feeding on this source or they have this source, then you can sell it as that honey. Um, like in Georgia and in Florida, you have orange flavored honey, you have peach flavored honey. In California, you have almond flavored honey, which, as you can imagine, doesn't taste very good. So it's used a lot in a lot of commercial baking um, uh, operations and in big companies for that. And then in Michigan, you have cherry, you have wildflower is a big one, and then you can do a couple of different other ones. So you can sort of group it like that. If you Tupelo is a really big high dollar one that a lot of people like. I don't particularly see the fanfare in it versus a couple of the other honeys that I've had, but some people swear by it. So One thing with the pollination contracts that you can do, and add on to that, is transporting. If you are a sideliner or don't quite have enough hives to go to make it worthwhile to um, take a load of bees down south or move them somewhere for the winter, if you get with another beekeeper or somebody else who has a CDL who's trained, or you can train on how to handle the bees while they're in transport, that is another service that you can offer. Um, and the pay ratio for trucking is, it's not bad. It's pretty decent. Um, you just gotta be willing to occasionally get stung and do the job. So um, removals are a big one. There's a couple different ways that you can do removals, or that you're going to be called for as a beekeeper or somebody interested in bees. If someone has a problem, they're going to call you more than likely for one of these three situations. There's a swarm in around their property somewhere that they have seen a group of bees, and they're panicking. There's a colony that has taken up residence in their walls or a tree in their yard. And so that's the second. And the third is in-ground colonies. Ones that typically they find when they're out mowing or something, digging around in the garden, or if their pets are digging in the yard. Uh, the ground wasp calls are always going to be 100% of the time. It's going to be a wasp or a native bee. It's not going to be a honeybee. Honeybees will not make a colony in the ground. They will not put their comb in the ground. They just won't do it. If it's at the base of a tree and it's a little bit below ground level on the inside of a tree, that may happen. But they will not just dig into the ground. And the ways that and those are always going to be, that's always, for me, it's a kill, an elimination process for wasp and hornets. The ones that people see in the trees are either going to be wasp or hornets. It's going to be a hanging nest that you see, or it's going to be actually inside the trunk of the tree. And usually that's a honeybee colony right away. I don't usually have to ask for a picture, but to get them out of a tree, if the homeowner wants to keep the tree, the best thing to do is to do a let's call it a trap out. I never recommend doing trap outs because you can do a trap out for a whole year and never get the full colony. And I never recommend doing a trap out on a house, because once the bees are out or they die, any of the resources that are left in there are going to crack. The honeycomb is going to crack and leak. It's going to draw in other pests. The smell will draw in bees in the future. So you have to get that stuff out of there. The only real way that I like to describe honeybee removals, and the only way that I really offer it, is to do a cutout. And that's exactly as it says, or as it sounds. You go in, you cut out a section of the area, usually in a tree. I can make a little square cut, typically, and I can usually get most of it. In a house, it's pretty easy. I either remove a few bricks or a few pieces of siding. I cut a little access panel, usually about 12 inches by 12 or 18 by 18, depending on how big the colony actually is once I get in there. And then you cut and remove everything out. You take all of the bees, all of the comb, everything at once. If you don't, and that stuff starts to leak, the honey will stain and leak through your walls, and you will never get rid of that. You'll have, no matter how many times you paint it, you'll have to cut it out anyway. So might as well just do it right the first time and eliminate that mess. You'll also draw in other pests like rats, roaches, birds, raccoons, possums, other bees, all kinds of things, which will cause a lot more damage. So it's better to just get it taken care of the first time and do it that way. And the last thing to really do is teaching. I teach, it's one of the big things that I really got into, is teaching other beekeepers how to do cutouts and removals, so that way they can offer that as a service. I also do a lot of work with contractors and various utility type groups and insurances to teach them how to handle bees on properties, how to do things safely, That way they can do things without having to rely on somebody else. It's a service they can offer uh, and keep going with. Um, and that way too, you can automate it a little bit. You can get a little bigger, you, because you've only got so many hours in a day. But if you set it up online, get a little online store or a little shop going, you can sell different things. A book. I've got a couple books and courses and training things out that I'm working on getting out there. And there's all kinds of other little ways that you can think of, little crafts and things that you can do. If you have an idea or whatnot, definitely leave a comment on what you do and let me know. Thanks.